Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Sports Department Podcast. I'm Stephen Clark with Justin Valentovic, and us two fine gentlemen are here to preview and predict our first AEW pay-per-view on the Sports Department Podcast, which is AEW Revolution 2022. We've broken down AEW predictions. We talked about AEW news, but never actually done predictions for an actual pay-per-view. I said late 2021 that it's going to be added to our formula here, and I kept my word. So we're here, Revolution 2022, first AEW pay-per-view of 2022. But before we get into all the AEW news and matches, Justin, how are you doing tonight?
Pretty good, and kind of excited for this show just because looking at the card as a whole, I was looking on the bus, and I was like, oh, damn, this is actually a pretty good card to start out the year and start out the first one for AEW in 2022, and I'm looking forward to this show.
Yeah, it honestly, it blows WWE pay-per-views out of the water. It's just having only 4 or 5 a year. It makes them feel more special too.
I think it's kind of like the NXT. Well, because now NXT is doing the specialty shows, kind of midweek type of stuff here and there.
Yeah.
But it was the takeover. It's you don't really only get it around the main 4 and maybe Money in the Bank mid-summer time. It's so they really had time to build it and actually mean something rather than, okay, we finished this show. Now let's start building towards the other one and forcing just quick storylines just to have something for the next pay-per-view. And I think that's a very good formula for AEW. And quite frankly, I really don't see them going monthly or bi-monthly at any point. I think this is kind of the perfect sweet spot for them, and it's paying off.
Yeah, AEW is kind of like NXT, in its prime. I feel like that's kind of it's switched over to that, and NXT's back obviously to developmental now. But yeah.
Also, side note for AEW pay-per-views, if you buy them on Bleacher Report, which I do, you actually own the replay rights and can go back to rewatch it whenever you want.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I know you're going to rewatch it every week.
No. But at least for the $50 that you're paying to watch it, at least then you actually own it then. So it's not just
that's pretty cool.
Pre-WWE Network where it was just $60. You could watch the replay till
I DVR it, baby. I used to DVR
exactly.
them.
But at least now it's just okay, so you physically own the digital copy at least, which
that's
is good.
Cool. That's actually really, really cool.
But I hope AEW makes a network at some point because that would be much nicer.
There might be a deal with HBO Max. It's been rumored for a little while now. So
I would like that.
That'd be interesting. Let's get into a little bit of news before we go through the matches. And there's only one bit of news I want to touch on. And that was this Wednesday on AEW Dynamite. Tony Khan comes out and says, hey, I bought Ring of Honor. So, wow, drops a bombshell. He owns the rights to Ring of Honor. He owns any past footages. He owns anybody who's under contract or was under contract. He owns for action figures or video game standpoints. I mean, you can get classics.
Yeah, it's mainly you probably feel the same way. It's going to be for the archival stuff and the IP as itself. You're not going to see him reboot Ring of Honor to a weekly thing. Maybe they do an anniversary show here or there and they do a live show because Tony Khan is a wrestling fan. So I could see maybe something small scale every so often here or there. Maybe they boot it up and do a live show. But obviously, it's not going to take away from AEW. But it's because a lot of people who are in AEW now and who just in professional wrestling in general who are big now have been in Ring of Honor. So it's like everything. We saw it with the whole TNA thing for a while when we thought they were going to go under as a whole. It's WWE might buy their library because that's the time when they had Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, and a bunch of and Bobby Roode came over and just a bunch of TNA people. So it makes sense to buy the video library because now, CM Punk was in Ring of Honor and the whole promo that MJF did was very similar to a promo he did in Ring of Honor. So obviously they would want that footage to kind of lay it over in a promo package. But they're working on a video game. This would be a good way to have their form of legends per se pop up in the video game. Same thing with toys. You're big into action figures, as we know in the background over there. You can only make so many Chris Jericho, John Moxley action figures that at some point, so you need some variety. So for a historical legends point of view for them, it's a smart move.
Yeah, no, I agree. You touched on it good there. It should be cool to see. If any other, those Ring of Honor guys who got cut, most likely are going to be coming over to AEW too, just because, they have the rights to that. And if they do start up another brand, you never know if they reboot that.
Maybe we see AEW Darker Elevation turn into a Ring of Honor type of thing, and they just kind of name it AEW Ring of Honor, and just kind of inherit it that way, similar to how ECW was absorbed into WWE.
Exactly. I think it's exactly going to be like that
And
eventually.
how WWE tried to do with Nitro for a while, like how they would do half and half shows when they first acquired it. And I liked in Tony's little thing how he's like, it's not Shane coming out. There's no Shane here, because obviously it was very reminiscent of when Shane went to WCW and bought it, which of course we all knew not at the time, but we all know that it was just, the McMahon's buying it, and they just did that as a bombshell type of thing, and that was led to a horrible invasion angle. But also maybe we see a Ring of Honor type of invasion storyline, because if they were going to do it, they could probably do it a lot better.
Cool. That'd be very, very cool. But yeah, that's it with the news, and let's get into the matches. But before we do, we have to talk about the standings.
Do we have to, though?
I want to, because
I don't. I never do.
I know. Because we did Elimination Chamber with our last podcast. We didn't do a breakdown of the show, but
Jesse doesn't watch it, and I was working because they put it at 12 o'clock on a Saturday.
Yeah,
everyone's free to sit home on a Saturday at 12 o'clock these days.
I am. But yeah, I won solely without Jesse winning. So, yeah, Jesse actually came in last year's pay-per-view, so that's cool. He got the most.
I did better than Jesse.
Oh no. Oh wait. Yeah, you did. Oh, Jesse got 4 matches wrong. You got only 2 matches wrong.
You know why? Because I picked kind of close to you.
Good job. And I only got 1 match wrong. So,
wow. So I wasn't that far off.
No, you almost tied me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look at that.
So the scoreboard stands at the beginning of March. I have 3 wins out of 3 pay-per-views. Jesus Christ.
Oh, you're on a Jesse track.
I know. Jesse has 1, and Justin, you're still looking for your first win of the year.
Bang, bang.
But maybe WWE is not your forte. Maybe it's AEW. Maybe it's AEW all
exactly. Exactly.
So we're going to talk AEW, and we're going to predict the matches. And I'll start with the first match, which is going to be the main event of Revolution. And that's Hangman Adam Page defending his AEW World Championship against Adam Cole, baby. And, Hangman's reign has been cool. It's been okay. Nothing special. He beat Lance Archer, I think, in his only defense so far. So, And Cole's been obviously on like a run of his life. He's been undefeated, except for the lights out match, which doesn't count on the record, but he's on a roll since he showed up mid last year. And it's a good match, honestly. It's a good matchup. I think Cole finally deserves his opportunity at the championship. But if I had to pick one to win, it'd be Adam Hangman Page, just because he needs that signature championship title win, I think.
So I think Adam's going to win this regardless. But honestly, I could see it going with Cole, mainly because maybe that's how, we see him finally get his belt. And also they had Kenny hold AEW tends to do very long title runs for the most part, right? And maybe they can finally break the status quo a little bit and give it to Adam Cole, because like you said, he's been on a really, really good run. And I think him getting a major belt, because obviously he had the NXT championship, but he never got a WWE or Universal title. To get a true main belt in a company, especially like AEW, I think it'd be really well done. And I think it'd be important because he's having fun. He could do a lot of things with it, and it'd be great. And like you said, Adam Page's run's been good, not great, and maybe just take a little break from it.
So give me Adam Cole.
Yeah.
Oh, already different from the get-go. I just think they're waiting for Cole for when I don't know if Omega's healthy or not. I have no idea, but I think they're waiting for Omega to get healthy, and then they're going to run that program for the belt. But maybe they're saving it down for Double or Nothing in May too, and to have Cole run to Double or Nothing with the belt and whatnot.
That would be fine. That's only 2 months. Like I said, they don't need to have 6 to 8 months to a year title runs all the time with everybody.
I agree.
It's okay if it's done well. You can switch up the belt. Obviously, not a week to week. I would like a champion to have it for at least a month or so, month and a half. But you can be a little infrequent with it. It doesn't all have to, if you're trying to sell the whole thing of competition. Look at the Patriots. They didn't win every single Super Bowl. They've lost, 3 or 4. But it's the same thing. You expect them to win, but they do lose sometimes. Why can't they do that with their champions here if they're trying to make it legitimate, even though it's pro wrestling?
Yeah, not sports entertainment. That's for losers.
Dorks.
Dorks. All right. So already differing on the first one. So that's fun.
Speaking of a long ass title reign.
Yeah, you're right. The good transition. Switching gears, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, defending her AEW Women's World Championship against Thunder Rosa, baby. Who are you taking and why, Justin?
It's going to be Britt Baker, mainly just because they like her very, very long title runs. And, Thunder Rosa has been very good. I enjoy her in AEW, but I think it's still going to be Baker. And I think the person to take the belt off of Baker at this point isn't in the company, or at least in the title picture now. And, like I said, like Thunder Rosa is very good and they've built her up well, and she's been like close a few times, but I just think Baker still wins.
Yeah, this whole like Io Shirai situation we were talking about when she was NXT Women's Champion. Who's gonna take it off of Baker?
Yeah.
I agree. Thunder Rosa is a good opponent. Not the one that's gonna dethrone this long.
Do you think they do something? Because remember, Thunder Rosa is when Baker had like the destroyed
the lights
face.
Out match they did, yes.
Yeah. You think they try to reference something like that again?
Maybe. I can see someone getting busted open. Maybe Rosa a little bit more this time. I think Baker, who are her buddies there? Mercedes Martinez, I think, is like kind of aligned with her, and Jamie Hayter.
Yeah, and then Rebel something. Or
yeah.
They'll get involved. It's the numbers game at that point. They'll get involved. Baker will win. Thunder Rosa will go away, and it seems like no one's gonna beat her.
Not yet. Maybe one of her buddies eventually, or like you said, they're not in a company yet. But there's no longer need to dwell on this match because it's kind of
like if they were gonna take the belt off, it would have made sense for like Ruby Soho to do it or whatever. But it's like,
girl,
great song, but they just didn't. And there's a lot of times where it's like, it makes sense for them to take the belt off her, but they just don't. So I think she's just gonna keep it.
Yeah, I agree. All right, next match on the card is the AEW Tag Team Championship match, which has Jurassic Express defending their championships in a triple threat match against Red Dragon, which is Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly, and the Young Bucks. I'll go first. It's back to me. Bucks having the titles back doesn't make much sense. Red Dragon would be cool, but honestly, they haven't done too much since coming over to AEW. I know it's the whole Bucks. This feud is basically Bucks and Red Dragon, and then obviously Jurassic Express.
They just have to have the belts on the line.
I don't think the belts change here. I think like they screw each other over somehow. Red Dragon and the Bucks, and Jurassic Express takes advantage of that. So I'll stick with Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus to retain.
Yeah, they built them up for so long to finally win the belts. I think they're not going to take them off, air quotes, right away for them. It would be cool if Red Dragon won and then Adam Cole won. They have all the belts. Kind of like
NXT all over again.
Exactly, but I don't think they do that. They do like referencing NXT stuff
a lot.
Yeah,
too much. Sometimes.
Yeah, which that's why I don't think they'll do that. And like, I don't necessarily need the Bucks to have the belts again.
No.
So I would give me Jurassic Express as well.
Yeah, I'm taking all the champions to retain so far. And our last championship match, which I'm also taking the championship to retain. Spoiler alert, we got the AEW TBS Championship, which is the mid-card women's one. Jade Cargill versus Hunty. Jade Cargill is undefeated.
Yeah, she hasn't lost. They had her run the table in that tournament. She's basically obliterated anything and everybody she's faced. So I don't see any difference here.
Yeah, and literally this feud started because like Hunty just came out after a match like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, so there's no oomph behind it.
No. So both of us going Cargill with this one.
Yeah,
I think that's easy.
This is where the rest of the card gets interesting.
Yeah, I 100% agree. From here on down, it's
like the non-title stuff is honestly a little bit better, more interesting to me.
Yeah, and let's start with then Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson. Justin will be taking and why?
Did we ever get this match in WWE?
Probably. I feel like we have. Definitely.
Yeah.
On like a random Raw or something.
This is Moxley's first pay-per-view coming back since he got out of rehab.
That is true.
So I think they'll give him a good old win. So just give me Mox.
This is a toughie. I think this is the toughest match.
But also, like, Moxley doesn't need the win necessarily. I think Bryan.
I think Moxley gets the win too. Yeah. But yeah, because I think he's gonna earn Bryan's respect and all that. And then Bryan's probably gonna turn on him and blah 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 because Bryan's the heel. What yada yada yada.
Yeah. And
I don't know. I think just Moxley coming back too is a big thing, like you said. It's tough. It's gonna be a cool match. It's gonna be great. I'll take.
I can see this open the show, honestly.
Yeah, either this or the ladder match when we get to that, because that's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna go Moxley as well. And another grudge match up next in a dog collar match. So there's going to be blood, as you saw this Wednesday. Oh, yeah, it's going to be blood. You saw it this Wednesday on Dynamite.
If there wasn't a championship match, this honestly should be the main event.
It still should. Honestly, open up with Adam versus Adam and put this as the main event. Because this feud's been going on for a couple months now. I mean, MJF beat Punk twice in one night, as he says, a couple in Chicago. And they're finally putting, it seems like, an end to this feud with CM Punk versus MJF in a dog collar match on pay-per-view. And I'll go first. And, MJF got the last one. And, he was trying to play victim the last couple of weeks and kind of turned on Punk this last Wednesday. And I'm going to take Punk to get his revenge on MJF and come out on top and end this feud once and for all.
See, I think MJF is going to win it because I could see them kind of using this to build him up even more, not go, full legend killer Orton. But obviously Punk was a big name to come back, and for him to get a significant win over him in a significant feud since coming back to just pro wrestling in general, I think that would they could run with that, with him on the mic, just flaunting that forever, especially if they will go back to Chicago. They go there, it seems like every other week. It would be just great for him to have in his back pocket that, he beat CM Punk and that,
he already did.
That's exactly. But do it again and just showing he's old, blah, 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 maybe she should have stayed away. I think MJF wins.
All right, another different one. I like that. I haven't had a different one in a couple matches. I respect it.
That came into some factoring as well.
Yeah, bro.
We're done.
Another little grudge match here. That's the promo battles have been better than anything with these, and Jericho's lost a good amount of weight. So
that's the thing. Even though he was fat, he was still a great talker. Like, you have two of the best shit talkers in wrestling,
literally. And I love Eddie Kingston. This is Chris Jericho versus Eddie Kingston we're talking about. And Justin, who are you taking?
Give me Kingston.
Yeah, I'm on the Kingston train too. I agree. Jericho does not need this win at all.
Jericho could honestly lose the rest of the time in AEW and still put people over. Kingston, once again, it would do a lot better for him than Jericho winning it. And even though Jericho lost some weight, he gives it even a little bit more legitimacy because then Jericho at least got down to give a shit more for it.
Yeah, I feel like Kingston still hasn't had like that one
signature win.
Yeah, he's had like the tag matches with Moxley,
but a signature solo.
I agree, and he disappeared for a little bit the last couple months. I don't know why. Probably it's online why, but he hasn't had that one win and beating the first AEW champion, beating a legend like Jericho. Sounds pretty good to me.
Pretty good.
Maybe LAX interferes, Santana and Ortiz, because they're kind of beefing still, and helps Kingston. Maybe a form of faction there. That'd be kind of sick. LAX with Eddie Kingston. I'm kind of cool with that. But no, I'm taking Eddie Kingston as well. And This is the match. This is the one I'm looking forward to. This reminds me of like NXT TakeOver New Orleans about a couple of years ago.
A nutty, insane ladder match.
Yeah, and this is the Face of the Revolution ladder match, which means you eventually verse the TNT champion. And the participants are Keithley, Orange Cassidy, Powerhouse Hobbs, Ricky Starks, Wardlow, Christian Cage, and Christian Cage or Ethan Page. I think they're fighting tonight on Revolution. I think they're fighting on Revolution tonight, but not 100% sure. So I'm not picking either one of those two to win.
Yeah. Oh, I don't think either of them would win. Like Christian, he's there for namesake.
I'm down to two people with this.
I think we might be on the same wavelength.
And I'm with Keithley and Wardlow.
See, those are I would go Keithley or Hobbs or Cassidy.
Yeah, I mean Keithley's only had one match, second match tonight.
Yeah, and honestly, that would just be the ultimate fan service as well to put him in a mid-card title run, because when he got put on WWE main television from NXT, he didn't get shit. Obviously, we had him with the double belt in NXT, but that lasted for a week before he just relinquished one, basically, right? And then didn't he lose his title, the NXT title, like soon after as well?
Yep.
Yeah. So that was do nothing. Who's picking first here, me or you?
I'll go first.
Okay.
And I'm going to explain my long-term booking here. Probably not going to be right. I was right with Roman and Lesnar, but like I said, Punk beats MJF. Mm-hmm. MJF moves on to a different feud. It's going to be Sammy Guevara, wins the TNT title from him. And then Wardlow, who wins this ladder match, is going to verse the TNT champion at AEW Double or Nothing. And then Wardlow wins the AEW belt in May from MJF. So my pick is Wardlow in this match.
Okay. I'm gonna go with Keithley, mainly because it gives them something to use him for, and that's because WWE never used him, and they always love to use WWE people who in proper ways that the fans would have wanted when they come over there. And so this is going to be their quick way of getting fan service and getting him into a title picture. So he'll win this and then go on for the TNT title.
Yeah, I like Lee. He's obviously my second choice, like prediction wise, but the reason I can see him not winning this is because he doesn't have to get pinned in this match. It's a ladder match.
Yeah,
if it was like an elimination match or something, I'd pick Keith Lee.
Yeah, he can literally just do, his cool, awesome stuff that he does and just not be involved in the final push for the ladder getting pushed off, or he could be grabbing it and get thrown off of it through a ladder or something. But it won't make him look weak or
which
won't take a hit.
Part. No one's gonna look weak. And a lot of beefy guys in this ring, in this match. I mean, Keith Lee, Hobbs, Wardlow.
A lot of meat.
A lot of meat. And Ethan Page, he's a little thick boy too here
beefy.
And there.
Yeah.
And then small Ricky Starks and Orange Cassidy.
Orange Cassidy's just gonna fall off, like just jump off of the ladder, probably into
falling
them.
And stuff.
Yeah.
All right, and we're down to the last match of the card, which is just a mishmash of like, hey, we didn't know where to put you on the card. Let's throw a 6-man tag, and that's the Andrade Hardy Family Office, which is going to be represented by Andrade, Isaiah Cassidy from Private Party, and Matt Hardy versus Darby Allin's the TNT champion Sammy Guevara and Stang. And go ahead first. I think it's kind of easy one to predict, but go ahead.
Yeah, give me Darby, Sammy, and Sting.
I agree. Maybe you get a Jeff Hardy appearance. I know
Matt
said on a YouTube channel with like 30 subs that he's coming on to AEW, but
Matt put some date. Hold up, let me try to find it on Twitter. He said something that might be like the whatever the release window is.
No, that's right. He was released. Contract wasn't expired.
He said something with Jeff. Hold up, let me find it.
You might get I'm trying to think of other appearances.
Photo 1, March 2022. Oh, no, that's not the date. That's just the year. There's more shirtless pictures of his children and him.
Of his children.
Dude, they're never wearing like shirts.
Hey, man, they live wild and free.
I thought it said like March 20th or something, but the fact, that they're already taking promo photos together, Jeff could pop up here, per se.
He could.
And if he does, then they're going to win, but I don't think he does. So give me, Darby, Sammy, and Sting. And the fact that it's a tornado tag match, Sting can't hide in the corner for most of the match. Do something at some point.
That's cool. All right. Last bit of talking points before we end this podcast. I just wanted to have a little chat. You think, releases happen. Cesaro's contract came up. Any surprises you think we get? I know Cody, the big rumor is that
Cody sounds like he's going to Mania.
He's going to fight at Mania.
Yeah, he's going to appear at Mania.
Any Wyatt, anything, you think anything or nah?
Nah, not this show. I mean, Revolution, the card itself is good enough to where I don't think for a cherry on top for the show, it needs a return or debut or something in AEW. I think it's good enough that, because like when when Brian showed up, right?
Yeah.
And Adam Cole, that capped off a show, which can you even really remember that show for the most part?
No. I just remember the tag match, the cage tag match.
Yeah. This show doesn't need it, so I don't think we'll see it.
Yeah, it'd have to be big, if anything. I feel like it'd be cool if like Cesaro came out at the end or something. Make him a big deal that he never was in WWE. I don't know. Or like, remember how Khan came out and it was Jay Lethal during the show middle, even though that signing kind of failed as of right now.
Ring of Honor's back, baby.
Yeah, but I'd say Cesaro, if anything. Cesaro or like Wyatt, I think, but Wyatt's been rumored forever. But any final thoughts before we wrap this ish up?
No.
Okay, well, that does it for this episode of the Sports Department Podcast. Thank you guys for listening, watching, whatever. You can watch, subscribe, whatever, on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Follow social medias on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at SportsDeathPod. That's Sports DEPT Pod. Just did a baseball episode. There's not going to be a baseball episode until the season, probably.
Yeah, there's nothing more to talk about. Except we can't bitch about the CBA every other week.
No, thanks for the views on that, because that was a nice surprise. Yeah, maybe we'll do basketball more towards playoffs or more towards whatever. Mock drafts are coming for the NFL.
Yeah, football is always good for some content.
Yep. So stay tuned to all that fun stuff, and we'll see you in the next episode.